Welcome to this Scaffolding Software presentation, where we will show you an example of a perimeter frame scaffold job with sloping ground and different elevations drawn using iScaf. Let's start a new drawing with the Imperial Sheets template. As shown in our earlier tutorials, we have a background floor plan ready to insert. The next step is to import the image. In this case, we will import it from our frame demo folder. Now we have a TIFF image that was converted with the free bullzip print utility, which gives us a good balance between speed and quality when using the external image. The resolution is lower than the PDF but offers improved performance. So now we can scale it. Let's zoom in nice and close to where it says 15'6" here. Get right in the middle there. Click on the first point. Zoom into the second point. Click that dimension line. And we now type in the length of the dimension line as prompted, 15'6". We type it in that format. That is now scaled. So now we click on the part of the window that we want to keep. And we have our image there. We can check this by zooming into another part of the dimension line. So we can see here it says 84'6", and we can use our measure distance utility on the ribbon. Click on that. Zoom into the dimension line. Zoom into the other end of the dimension line. And we can see that it is 84'6" when rounded to the nearest inch. And we can see down the bottom of the screen it says distance 84'6" with the same measurement details. Okay, so we have our image that is scaled and all we need to do is trace around that. So we select our draw perimeter option and we choose the corner of the building. And for the purpose of a quick exercise to show you how quickly we could scaffold a building, let's not go into all the detail here. Let's just choose the rough corners of the structure. Maybe something like this. And we type the letter C to draw the last line to close the perimeter. So here we have our basic building perimeter of our commercial drawing, and we could go into the iScaf setup menu area if we wanted to set up all the details of the scaffold job. And now we can click on Build Plan, and this will generate a very quick layout of our scaffold. So that is our basic import and plan design. So let's jump ahead now. We've actually performed a full trace of that building perimeter, and we've also added sloping ground. You can refer to our other tutorials in relation to sloping ground, but we have a slope tag of 0. We have a slope tag of -10 at this point, so it slopes from 0 to -10. Over here, we have another tag at -10, and we slope all the way back to -15 here, and from -15 we go back to 0. Okay, now let's go into our setup. We are going to use course fit. In this case, we have defined course fit as using 10-foot bay sizes with 8 foot as a secondary choice. We're going to choose 6'4" frames, as well as 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, and 5 foot heights for the frames. We're not going to use side brackets, so that's been set to none. But we will deck every level, and we'll generally use 3'6" wide bays, going to a total height of 30'6". Remember, these setup options are only defaults for the auto build. They can be changed later on a bay-by-bay basis. Let's click OK on that. And now we'll go to our Build menu. And we can click on Build Plan. iScaf will generate a plan design for you. It's very quick but won't be perfect, so we can then perform some editing. If we zoom in a bit closer, we see iScaf has drawn 10-foot bay sizes here, It's used some 8-foot bay sizes in the middle there to get a nice fit, and 10 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot there. Okay, let's make some changes to our design. Let's move this wall over a little bit here. So we click on our Move Wall option under our Edit Wall menu. We click on Select Wall to move. You can select the base point, so let's move that over a bit so we have a bit of space to work with. So we want to put an 8-foot bay going in the other direction, so we select Make New Wall. We force the lines to be straight. We make a simple single bay wall here. We're going in a clockwise direction from top to bottom, and we have just one bay that we're going to choose here, and that is going to be an 8-foot bay. We can move that into place by using Move Wall again. Click on the bay, click on the corner, move that corner to the end. Then we can press the space bar to repeat the wall move again. And we can move from the base point to the end point there, so it's in nice and close. Okay, so we can lap some boards to close some of these gaps. We have the purple handrail shown going all the way around the outside. We might also need a handrail here so it's safer near the edge. So we go to our Select Handrail option and we put a handrail on that side. While we're at it, we could also go here and put a handrail on the other side in that position there. Now to lap some boards, we go to Ties, Tubes, Laps. Click on the first bay, first point, second point. That's the suggested planking length that we choose here, and we'll also add some handrail tube. Click OK, and we tube and clamp there. Now let's put a small lap board here as well, so press the space bar to add more laps. This is a short gap, so let's make them 4-foot long planks with a quantity of 4, and yes, we want tube handrail for these laps. So the handrail can just go from that frame to that part of that frame, so we have some planking there. Over on this side, we'll do something similar. So we can move this wall over, so we go to the Wall Move option again, then from this point, move it right into the corner. We need to make it a bit closer than that, so let's press the space bar to try again so we can make it right up close to the edge. And then we make another single bay wall from this point to this point. It's going to be a 10-foot bay, and we can move that into position as well. We may choose to fit a small bay in there, so we could try to put a 5-foot bay into that gap. And we can use the measure distance command to check if it will fit. So we use our measure distance command and measure from this point to this point, and we see that it's only 3'6", so we could do some editing here. We might decide that we want to replace a bay, so to do that we click on this icon. We're using the ribbon at the moment, but we could actually use the Edit Plan option, which changes the cursor into a square box. And you can operate on each section of the scaffold separately. You'll see this in other iScaf tutorials. So now that we have a larger gap here, we can add a 5-foot bay in there. So we click on Add Bay, and notice how it says Select Position to add bay. So we click on where we want to add a 5-foot bay, and we want it to go in that direction, and we see that's got quite close there. So we could continue to add lap boards and make it neat all the way around if we wanted to. Now let's add some ladders to this design. So we can click on the internal ladder option, So this is an internal ladder here. And we have a definition of a 3'6" wide bay by 10' long bay, and we have a ladder definition already defined. If we press the spacebar again, we could add another ladder tower in there as well. Now in this case we can add a basic ladder tower again. For the next one, we can do something different for the purpose of this tutorial. So we will add another ladder tower by clicking on the north icon on the ribbon so it is external like that. Let's choose another one as a final ladder access. So we press the spacebar again and choose the bay here. And before we add it, let's see what size we have here. It's 3 foot, so to be different, we will add a 3'6" external there. Don't forget, we should put a handrail on the end. Again, the purple line represents that. So we click right there, that's where the purple line will go. So we can continue editing and making this design the way we want it until we're satisfied with all our bay edits and the full design. Let's add one more bay to this wall at the bottom here. So we add a bay. We follow the direction of the arrow going to the right. So because this bay is upside down, it's going to go the other way. So let's just put a 7-foot bay in there. We can also put section markers in our scaffold design, which can be added using this build option. But before that, we're going to change some of the elevations of this scaffold. So we may decide that we want this to be an 84-foot high wall on this side, and we want it to be 84-foot high around here as well. So let's go to our Edit Wall option, and we click on the bay. And that's currently 30'6" as we originally defined. So we're going to change this to 84 foot. From our experience, we know that this should be 13 frames. So we apply to selection, and this means that we will window this area here, because we would like all these bays to follow our 84-foot height. So that's now been allocated, which means that this run round to the corner here will be 84 foot high. Let's make it 71 foot high across this area for these 3 sections along here. So we can press the space bar and select any bay along the wall. And our default shows 30'6", so we make it 71 foot. We click on Apply to Selection, and we carefully window around here. Now, if we miss this bay, we can go back and reselect it. So we're going to zoom out by scrolling the mouse wheel while we're doing this. Select those runs, and we're going to go back and make sure that bay is selected. And that's looking good, so let's right click to finish. So what we have now is 84 foot high, 71 foot high, and 30'6" the rest of the way around. Let's put some section markers to represent what we have drawn. So let's go to our section marker option under Build, Define Section, Default Options, and we want that first one to be section AA. And we want to mark it here. Press the space bar. Let's do another one. We want the next one to be BB. Let's put it around here. We should also put another ladder in here. So there's our ladder, and this time we're going to do another section marker. So we're up to marker C now. But we're going to use a face view this time. First bay, last bay. We're going in that direction because that wall is technically upside down. Now in iScaf, you can actually label the bays. So here we just have the bay size and bay length shown. But we can click on this 123 bay labeling icon in the build panel on the ribbon, and we can show the length of the bay, the width of the bay, we can number the bay, and we can also specify the bay height, for example. So if we click OK on that, we'll see detailed bay labeling with imperial or metric measurements. So here we have 84 foot, 71 foot, and then 30 foot 6 the rest of the way around. We can also show our 3D building since we actually drew the perimeter of our building structure. So we can do this by going to the build panel and we can click on create solid building. Let's make the building a bit higher than our scaffold for illustration purposes. Click OK. Then we can show this by going to our view menu, which can show what we've currently designed at an angle. You can see our building structure, so that wasn't there before. Going into our visual styles, we can also see the conceptual view of our building perimeter. Now we can actually click on that structure and right click on it. Then go to properties and we could change the color to yellow, for example. And exit properties and press escape to exit out or change the color. And we can also go realistic. Now let's go back to our wireframe mode. And then we can click on Build 3D option. We actually don't recommend that you change the visual style for Build 3D because it does slow the system down a bit. So iScaf has built the full 3D structure now, and in the background it is now building all the elevations that we've drawn. We defined 3 elevations, but note that we did not fully complete the plan design. So if the plan design is saved, we can return to it, complete it, and then rebuild to 3D again. Always save your work prior to building 3D. Now we have our 3D design, we'll go back to 2D wireframe. And let's just zoom in by scrolling the mouse wheel. And we can see here we have some different frames used at the bottom to cater for the sloping ground. So here we have our standard 6'4" frames, and we have a shorter frame at the bottom. As we can see here on this level, we have a 6'4" frame at the bottom, and we have an extra jack extension on that frame. We have a similar frame at the bottom here, and we have a single short frame here. We can see here this frame has 3 sections, possibly a 3-foot frame, and then we have possibly a 4-foot frame here or a 5-foot frame, and then we have a 6'4" frame here. We also have our trapdoor ladders at the top. And if we scroll around the other side, here we have our 71-foot wall, and we have a trapdoor ladder in there as well. We can also show a material list of our scaffold. So now all the parts are being counted. We have our full material list, and we can click on Quote for more detail. The quotation may be an HTML format or a PDF file that can be opened with a browser, and the text size can be changed with Control and the mouse scroll wheel. We have the length area, volume of netting or shade, and then we have the face area and volume for labour calculations. We have a full component list with weights, noting that not all the weights are entered in this particular demo. So here we have 1,346 walk-through frames, and we have 47 hatch decks with an integrated ladder. This quote can be customized as well as exported to a text file or Microsoft Excel. We also have some improvements for ladders coming to iScaf soon. Probably by the time you view this demo, we will already have this feature added. For now, we can illustrate this with the Build iBlock option. Select the last option here, which is ladder. We can specify the ladder tower option. Select the first one. Choose an insert point, and if we zoom in here, we have our representation of an integrated ladder. If we change the visual style to be conceptual, we can see that it looks a lot better, and there is the option of customization. Now let's look at the drawing sheet layout to finalize our drawing. To do this, we go to the plot option on the ribbon, but before we do that, we need to go to our drawing sheet. So we're going to select the B size paper for our drawing sheet, click on Layout Drawing Sheet, and here you can have your custom company logo added with the title block details, whatever suits you. Let's choose this to begin with, and then the client can be Demonstration Client. We click OK, and we have our basic integrated drawing sheet. Then we go to our plot option. We can insert our plan. So it's going to be quite a large drawing, so we need the maximum scale. We'll insert this into position. And we could scale it down even more if we wanted to, but for the purpose of this demo, we'll leave it as it is. Go back to our plot setup option. We can choose section A. Let's make it 1/16 size. Put it here. And press spacebar to do that again with section B. Let's try 1/12 size. And then finally, we have our section C. And let's make this 1/8 size. Now if we make an error and need to reinsert these, we can just click on the Erase button, window what we don't want, and reinsert again. So remember, this run along here had some sloping ground, and this elevation shows this with the different frame sizes at the bottom. Of course, you can use your annotation and utilities to label your drawing. To do this, we will generate a custom text label here. And we can also generate an arrow or leader text label to bring attention to a particular part or area. This concludes our Imperial Frame demonstration in iScaf. You can also watch other demonstrations on our YouTube channel or contact our team for further details.